Alright, here's a little update video on Bubbles carts. I've made a few changes, and really I'm just going to go over the changes because it's still overall the same. So look at the other video to know generally how to put together, and then watch this video and it will explain some of the changes. One of the biggest changes is the fork design. Before, I was sending out multiple forks. Each fork had its own angle built into it. So in order to cant the wheels more forward, you would just swap out the entire fork. To save money and time, I have come up with these little shims right here. And on them, so you can see that there's a number. The higher the number, the more of an angle it will put it forward. So if your dog is having a problem tipping forward, try a higher number. It will move the wheels out a little bit farther forward. And they just fit together kind of like Lego pieces. I might change this because I have some issues with it, but overall, I mean, you'll just line it up with the holes and it should pop right on. Oh, and I actually put that on backwards. Well, your forks don't have a name in it, but the number is going to go towards the front, so yeah, just make sure the number's to the front, click it in, and then that's how you adjust the angle of the fork. There'll also spacers you can put on top to raise the frame up if it's not tall enough. And again, they just pop on here like little Lego pieces. And so you got that set up, and again, it pops into the frame just like the old style did. And then you have this nut plate, which goes on the bottom. Just run the bolts through. Sometimes they're a little tight, so you might have to actually work them through with a screwdriver. And then you'll just thread them in, get it threaded, and tighten it down. So that is that. Another thing that it changed, but it's really the same almost. Instead of having these teeth right here, which was really over engineered, it's now just kind of like a little dish, like just a really small recess. And then the stop, which Bubbles doesn't use her stops because she's a wiener dog and she's so long, she doesn't have a problem tipping forward anymore. But if your dog has problems with tipping forward and falling on their face, you're going to want to use the stops that I include. And on the fork will just be a little recess, and on the stop itself will be a little hump. Obviously the hump goes in the recess, and you just feed the bolt through and tighten it down just the same way you would with the other one. But you don't have to worry about the teeth. When you tighten it down good and tight, the friction between the fork and the stop is enough to hold it in place. And even if your dog hits it, and they're actually a lot stronger, don't have problems with them breaking like I did with the old style. And also, I've no longer been adding the fabric to the carts. It's just kind of a tedious process, and I already have hard enough time trying to keep up with the demand that I'm going to leave that up to the owner. They can either, I do recommend using some kind of fabric or sweater, or even just a piece. I've seen a couple people, they just put like a little piece of cloth or foam right in here. Just to look, because this plastic is hard. It is a little rough. Oh, and before I forget, the roughness. This one's pretty good. I've been working on the printer to get it better, but if there's any kind of strings or little bumps, you can go through and sand all that down. It's perfectly fine. You're not going to damage the cart, really. I hit it up a little bit to smooth it out, but again, I'm trying to hurry up and get these things out. I don't have time to really smooth them out. If you spend your time, you can get this perfectly smooth. Back to the fabric. I do recommend having some because of that roughness. It just helps protect the skin from chafing or anything like that. This is what I normally use. I don't have any extra right now, or else I'd show you exactly how I do it. But it's I guess like a polyester, or I don't I'm not really into fabric, so I don't know what to call it, but I got it from Walmart. The key part about it is it's stretchy. It's not like elastic band or anything like that, but you pull it this way and it gives a little bit. It gives a little bit in all directions. So when you're trying to form it around these curves, it makes it a lot easier. Where if you're just using like a piece of cotton, it doesn't really give in all directions. It might stretch one way, but it's not going to stretch the other way. And then this has a little thickness to it too. But all you're going to do for once you find the fabric you want, hopefully it has a little bit of stretch in it because that will make it a lot easier, is just get spray glue. You're going to coat the inside of the frame and then coat the back side of the fabric and just let it dry to where it gets tacky, where you should be able to touch it with your finger and it doesn't pull off the frame. Then you know it's dry and ready to go. And a little hard to do, I don't have any fabric here, but you want to kind of fold the fabric up so you got kind of like a seam, and you want to press it in to the middle of the cart and kind of start at the back and then just like spread it out as you go down. You don't want to just throw it all on there because then it's going to stick to these high points and you're going to try to press it in the low points and it's going to be stuck here. So you want to work from the back and on the middle and work its way out. And then when I get to up here, I hold it. I don't let it touch this front area. And I kind of press it as much as it will stretch down into here. And then I'll work it up over this. And then you'll just go around with a razor blade and trim all the excess. The back is pretty simple. For the front, where the nubs are, I don't just trim it straight flush like this. This I pretty much just went like this all the way along, so it just barely hangs over the edge. For up here, where the dog might be hanging over a little bit, I leave a little bit of excess to let it to wrap around the cart. You might have to cut a notch right here to allow it to lay flat. But yeah, you work with it, and I mean you can redo it. I've had a couple times where I've had to redo it. Spray glue is messy, but it does peel off. Let's see. Oh yeah, the last point is I use whatever plastic I have available. Some carts might be all one color, some carts might be multiple colors. Your boy dog might get a pink cart. This is what I have. Carts can be painted. This Krylon Fusion worked really good. You just start out with a light coat because this type of plastic does have a really, if you go on too heavy, it will get spotty. So just go on with a few light coats of whatever color you like, and then you can get a little bit thicker until you get full coverage. I would say try not to get too much in the bearings. Yeah, because here's an example. This is actually, it's a red wheel, but it was painted for bubbles. That brings me to another point. Watch out for heat. We took Bubbles out to the park one day and came back, and I was lazy and I left this in the car. And it wasn't even that hot, but there's like stress built into this. There's stress in the plastic when it's formed. So when you heat it up, it tends to warp. So you want to be careful, especially during the summertime. Like just leaving it, even not inside a car, just leaving it in direct sunlight for extended periods of time can cause it to warp. I mean, that's still usable, but it can be worse. Like if this fork bends, then you're going to have issues. Think that's about covers it. Again, with all my carts, it's a best guess type of scenario. I'm making them off the pictures you guys send me, so try to take them as much closest to the way that I tell you to take them, because that's the best angle, so I can get the best results. If things don't fit right, just send me the pictures. Keep in contact with me, and we can make adjustments. It's a lot easier to make adjustments because I know how big the cart is, so I know if it's too tight here or too big here, I can get a really good idea of how much I need to change. But yeah, guess that's about it.